already started. Hey, what's up, folks? We are back. This is the coldest show in all the land, Absolute Zero Podcast. I am the Shenanigator J, and my tag team partner.
Unqualified gamer, aka Weeaboo Ramen.
That's right. And today, also, we have a special guest. Well, he's not really a special guest because he was on here the last couple of recordings that we did. Uh, introduce yourself.
Who talking me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm righteous dad.
Right,
There you
righteous
go.
dad. There you go.
Righteous. Righteous. There you go. Or AKA, you can just change it like poor righteous dad. How about that?
Oh, goodness.
No, it's good. We actually haven't done a recording in a while. It's been a while since we actually did a recording.
It
But
has.
it feels good. Feels good to get back, and get back on this thing. We absorbing and observing a lot that's been going on, and we uh figured we was like, all right, we got to do a recording because there's a lot that's been going on, and there's a lot that we feel that we want to just talk about in the open source.
Yeah.
But no, it's some good stuff, man. But
A lot of good movies out
also,
too.
yeah, a lot of good movies. We will also we're working on in the thought process of putting this content on an actual our content on an actual platform, actual podcast platform that you guys can listen to and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
all in the work, all in the works,
It's all.
all in the works. And also I didn't realize this, like I said, because we do this on Discord. They actually have an open soundboard, and
That's
I
right.
had no idea.
I just
I
found
had
that I
no
was
idea.
I was actually just found that out today. Thanks to Shenanigator.
Yeah, we just right before we started recording, and I wish that I found out about this sooner. That's a good one. I like that one. That's a good one. All right, so here we go.
We gonna
Let's
be no
get this
good with
thing
this.
started. Let's get this thing
All
started because
right.
we don't go by script. We just go off the cuff here. Movies. There was some good movies this since the
No,
last time we
well,
did
no, well, first
recording.
off,
This was some good
first
movies.
off, pops, you've been watching the show on YouTube. That sounds very interesting. Well,
What?
like you want to talk about it?
The grease monkey?
Yeah,
The what?
yeah, the bus
Grease
Wait a
or
minute.
monkey?
the
Well, what's it
The
called?
bus grease money? Huh?
You said
No,
Grease Monkeys.
no, it's several ones that I watch on YouTube, and that's one of them. And they have one that is called the uh what is it? Diesel Creek and Andrew Camarada.
uh,
They uh, they're just normal people there, but the one that I'm watching right now is called the bus grease monkey. Now, and what he does, he has an old what I think is a 1947 Greyhound or old Greyhound bus that he and his wife rides around in. They have, they go all over the country working on these vintage old buses and stuff like that,
Hmm.
you know, and keep them running and all this other stuff. And some of the things that they'd be doing on there, they'd be rebuilding engines and pulling engines out and all this stuff. But the reason why I watch it is because of the fact that it reminds me of the times when I was, you know, in my teenage years and my younger years. I used to do all my work on my cars and everything like that myself. And it reminds me of a lot of that during that time. You don't find that anymore. You don't find that your kids or anything like that, or either young people that is growing up that is interested in anything like that anymore. The shade tree mechanics. and
Okay.
everything, you know. But so I watches it quite often now. And Bernice, she constantly always said, "How can you watch that stuff?" I said, "Man, I find it interesting. What people do, and
Yeah.
people try to keep things that they're trying to go back to the past to pull things up and say, hey, well, this is what we can do to make things better, but it don't because people are not interested in that.
Yeah.
Okay, I said enough. Who can come in on me on that?
Now, do you think it's the reason why there's a lack of interest is because of the way technology has shifted things to
Well,
where
that is a lot.
before you
Yeah,
could make a
yeah.
lot of things on your own, but now pretty much you got to have some sort of type of certificate level of training for everything when it comes to
Well, yeah, but they, just like they was talking about, just like the guy who's head who is doing this thing, and he even said that he said that it's a forgotten art,
okay.
and a lot of times and things like this, and they run across all kinds of problems, and they're good at problem solving, with a lot of these old buses and equipment and stuff that they be using and stuff like that. And they salvage these things. They said that it's a shame that that they would be throwing these things into to the scrap piles and all that stuff, and stuff like that. And they said there's nothing wrong with a lot of them. Like I've seen on some of his shows that way he couldn't find parts for it, so they made parts for it,
Okay.
things like that. And see, and he was saying about the like the new type of equipment that they have now is all computerized, so you can't do anything with it. It's all built to be thrown away. You can't use it once it's done. You don't use it anymore. You
Hmm.
scrap it. He said
Yeah.
that's what kind of society we're living in now. Everything, if you don't fit the bill, you just get it scrapped.
Hmm.
Nothing, so we don't save anything and we don't do anything to keep it going. You
Gotcha.
know, yeah, it's the same thing. Like my old truck. Now I just got it out of the shop Friday, and the guy was telling me, he was saying he knew he could by looking at the rust on it, he could tell where that truck came from.
Okay.
Now, yeah, I'm looking at the rust on it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Well,
yeah, he said that was the rust that you have on that truck. It seems like that truck came from an area where there was a lot of salt and stuff like that. I said yes. Then I said the truck actually came from like in central Pennsylvania, up in the mountain. I said there's a lot of snow and ice.
yeah.
He said I could tell. He said, and see, and he's an older mechanic. He knows how. He said it seemed like when I'm talking to you, I can understand exactly. I can understand that you have some idea of what I'm talking about. I said, yes, I understand you completely. But see, now at this day and age, you don't have people to think like that, or either to come up with an idea or to look at something and say, well, this is, it used to be when something happened to your vehicle or car or whatever it is, you can tell by the sound, and the sound of it will tell you exactly what was wrong with it. You knew exactly how to fix it. But see,
Hmm.
now everything mimics one another, so you don't know. You can't figure it out. You can't go, well, it sounds like it could be a water pump, but it might not be. It might be something totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what it and the way it is now, everything we live in a throwaway society.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything that we do and everything that food we throw away.
Okay. Now,
How
now,
much
now.
food? Huh?
No,
Go
go ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. Go, no, go, go, no, go ahead. Finish that.
No, I was like I said, it's the food. There's many people that we say that the world is starving and all this other stuff, but the amount of food that we throw away, and people, and you can't eat it.
Hmm.
You can't eat it. You can't do anything else. You go to some places, man. The garbage cans. I mean, the garbage disposal units are full because now everything is built on. Hey, listen, if I feed you, then you might sue me. See,
Oh yeah.
things are totally different now.
Hmm. All right.
So you
And
got a
Yeah.
lot of food, but
yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, no, no. I was gonna ask another question that also relates to this, and I'm glad we're on
Mm-hmm.
this because this is actually one of the things we're talking about. Um,
Yeah.
when we talked about not being able to identify these things, but do you think that it's a product of education, or in this place, the miseducation that society has built as part of our education, being that the education system is so flawed that it's been uh, created, the miseducation to create, to just use up and throw out, to not hold value to anything, the value of things uh, that we once had are no longer what we see as valuable anymore.
Lord, well, exactly. Now this is what I'm getting ready to say is that in large percentage of them, when I was coming along to school, we had courses in high school like woodworking,
Hmm.
uh, uh, teaching you how to lay bricks, how to build a house, how to do all these things like this, even automobile mechanics.
Hmm.
You don't find that in schools anymore.
Well, no, no, they've been out of schools now. The curriculum in the schools for a long time, especially in American school systems.
Yeah.
But do
And
you think that's
and
by? Do you think that's the miseducation is by design, not by happenstance?
it's by design. It's by design. It has to be by design, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason why today we are suffering because we have no professionals. Like the plumbers and things like this. We don't have them,
Hmm.
and the ones that you get, they are so far, and then they overcharge you on everything because of the fact that the thing is that there's not enough.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and like I said, we and unqualified gamer talked about this. Uh, a while back. This is one of the reasons why we had to get on this recording because I think there is somewhat of a generational rift
Yeah.
where
Yeah,
where
yeah,
it's really not our fault. Like we know some things. Some of us might have a general knowledge of things, but then we get questioned for it. Like, oh, I don't understand. How can you guys not know what this is? And blah blah blah. It's like you got to understand. We never learned this. Like schools never taught us this. The only things that we have is general knowledge, basically taught by you and people like you.
right.
To teach us
Yeah.
these things, the basics of these things. But we're not professionals in it because, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
it's very scarce.
I mean, and on
And
top
then
of that, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was saying on top of that, like while we're in school, you know how you used to have like career days and stuff like that. Like they don't even have career days now
Yeah,
in school. That's the crazy thing. But even in career days, while we was in school, there were never people that came in that was like, oh, I'm an electrician, I'm a plumber, I'm a construction worker, I'm a journeyman, I'm an operator. None of them actually came to school and actually said, hey, these are the profession that's in your neighborhood, that's in your area that you can like achieve. Everything that came in was just either a doctor, a lawyer, or a football player, and that's it.
Hmm.
or just
Yeah,
like myself, I used to do that too. I was an engineer.
yeah,
It was great when I did it. You know, it's things like it was great because you found the level of what people knew about what you did.
Mm-hmm.
and
Hmm.
things like this. Stuff like I never forget the one kid that was in the class, you know, and I was explaining to him about like the 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 Ben Franklin Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And see, he come like when he was born and raised, he didn't know when how that damn bridge was built or anything. He thought it grew up from the ground, just like planting a seed. Only
Yeah.
thing that he knows that is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, well, no, you know how you it took it. I said it took people to build that bridge. And you were what? Yes, it took people, equipment, and all this other stuff, designers and everything else to build that bridge. It didn't just grow up out of the ground. But see, this is the level. That's what I'm talking. But see, well, you can teach innocence,
Mm-hmm.
and you can teach to innocence. But ignorance is, I mean, ignorance. You can teach. You can communicate with ignorance.
And
But now we're living in a society that everybody knows everything.
Yes,
well,
yes, and
it's
that
crazy.
actually, well, this segues right into our next thing, the ignorance coupled with the arrogance. So
Arrogance. The arrogance. Oh my
the,
god.
the the ignorance coupled with the arrogance. So now you have a
Yeah.
bunch of people who think they know everything, but the arrogance, it's the ignorance and not knowing, but the arrogance in talking like they do know
Like they do
something
know something.
and know
Mhm.
absolutely nothing.
And I think, I think, like, I'm gonna say this: like, arrogance is. I feel that arrogance is the number one detriment of poor people, like in general, especially in today's society. Like, it's just crazy. Like the arrogance that I see every single day. There's no humility whatsoever today. Like none whatsoever. And then it's crazy because when I talk about this, a lot of people will say, "Well, no, that's pride," and I'm just like, "Nah, that's not pride. Like, there's nothing prideful of like just basically like just because you don't own the place or just because you don't this is not where you live, you still gotta like keep yourself like in a good positive position, man. Like, if I finish a drink, I'm gonna go throw it in the trash can. But no, most people will just take that drink and throw it on the ground and say, I'm proud to be an American. And it's crazy because these are the same people that say, I'm proud to be an American, but yet they'll take their trash and throw it on the ground. How is that pride? Where is that as pride? That's arrogance. And it's crazy that like people will sit there and they look at you straight in your face and say, I'm prideful. And it's like, no, you're arrogant. And when you get two people that are arrogant, then that's when you get like the devastation, you get the destruction, you get the
That
fighting,
that,
the
that is,
killing.
yeah, the two of the same thing. That two of the negative things could end up destructive.
Yeah, it can end up in destruction. I say, and this is the reason why I say, hey, stop. Like I said, it's you got to learn to, like I said, just basically just stop being arrogant. Because there's nothing beneficial about arrogance. There really isn't. When you think about it, there's nothing beneficial of being arrogant. If I if I stepped on somebody's shoe by accident and I turn around and said, "Hey, I'm sorry," and they curse me out, I have two decisions right there. Now, the person that cursed me out, even though I said I'm sorry, guess what? They're arrogant. They're arrogant enough to not take the apology or not just to move on, but just to try to assert their dominance over you. Now, as a person who is humble, a person who just says, you know what, it's not that big of a deal, you walk away from it. Why argue back?
Right.
Why be arrogant back? Because it's not going to solve the situation. You already said I'm sorry, and the person goes out and called you out your name. After that, it's just there's no point in conversation with that person. So as long as you just walk away, don't acknowledge that. Hey, my bad. I'm sorry, man. F you. Well, okay, and you walk away, and they can sit there and they can say anything you want. Oh, you're a punk. Oh, you a chump. You just gonna let me walk over you like, yep, exactly, and walk away. And guess what? Nothing happens after that.
So this is actually based off of a true incident that happened. Didn't happen like this, but it did happen. Like where a guy bumps into somebody in the store. Words were fenced, and then ultimately one of the guys pulls a gun out on another and shoots him. Over
Mm-hmm.
the general basis of the one guy accidentally bumping into uh, this other gentleman two, and when you look back at it, when you review it, you know, guy number one is standing in the middle of the aisle. Now, like you said, this is a it's muted security cam footage, so you don't know what exactly was said.
Well,
But guy number one is standing in the middle of the aisle in this store, corner store, and this is a corner store, so just like your generic corner store, like how we all have. And guy number two walks in, looks like he's on his phone or something like that. Accidentally bumps into the guy. So then you could tell where guy number one is,
fencing
the
words.
aggressor. Yeah, the aggressor. So he says
Yeah.
something, the other guy turns around, says something back. Not sure. Like I said, we don't know what the audio is. Guy number one actually swings and hits guy number two. Now a scuffle ensues. They scuffle. It spills outside of the store.
Mm-hmm.
They get themselves together. Guy number one pulls a gun out of his bag, clearly shoots the guy point blank range. Boom, runs off.
But thankfully, the guy that got shot didn't get killed.
All right, yeah. Well, the
Yeah,
guy that got shot didn't get killed, and you got another guy that just
got
survived. He's
thrown
in
in jail.
well, pretty much he's going to prison for a very long time. But
Mm-hmm.
we look at it and we see, like I said, uh, the arrogance, the arrogance. It's over,
Well,
and then the people who don't see it will say, "Well, dag man, over somebody stepping over somebody's shoe," but it's much deeper than that. It's
oh, it
much
is.
deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's much deeper than just somebody stepping on somebody. Well, matter of fact, let's go to something recent. Today, uh, a guy in West Philly, 50 years old, got shot by a 29-year-old man over a parking spot
Mm-hmm.
down here in
Mhm.
West Philly. Down here in West Philly, over a parking spot. One shot him right in the chest, point blank range. Now the 29-year-old is in prison. He's got locked up. He's going to be charged for murder and other charges. He's going to be in prison for a very long time.
Yeah.
And
One,
one
one.
life
If
is
the
lost.
man is dead, he's dead, and seeing two lives
And
ruined.
you say over what? Yeah,
Yep.
and you say over what? And people say, and people who don't know, who won't understand it, they'll say, "Oh man, it was over a parking spot." He's like, "No, ultimately the parking spot was just there. The parking spot was
Mm-hmm.
a culmination of something that it can happen anywhere, but the ultimate comes down to the individuals. The individuals today are very on edge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
very on edge. That could have been just walking down the street. And
Yeah.
I don't like the way you
Why do
look
you
at me.
think?
Yeah. And
Yeah. Why do you think that people are now on edge?
Oh, because like you said, I honestly think, well, for me, to be honest, I think it's the way how our government is handling our people, the way how it's perceived. There's no, like I said, for our generation, and it's crazy when I say this, we have no hope. We
Ah,
living day by day. You know,
oh my goodness.
we see no, like I said, no, I'm being serious. We see no future within it. Everything that comes
No,
crashing down.
yeah, listen.
Yeah,
I'm listening to you, and the thing about it is you're using some key words, some very high powered words.
yeah,
And if you have no hope, there's nothing you can do.
yeah.
yeah, and
Because the
there's no
hope
hope. Yeah.
Only thing that we can that we can survive on from one day to the next. Hope.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think unanimously, like I think unanimously, especially like I said, I can only speak for the U.S. I can't speak for no other country because I never lived in no other country. Only lived in the U.S. I can only speak from the U.S. perspective, and from all sides with every race within the U.S. There is no hope. Like even from like even
I have
from
to disagree with you there.
no
There is
no
hope.
no 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 no
Always
no
there.
no no. Hey, hear me out. Hear me out here. Hear me out here. I'm talking from a mass standpoint of way how people think. I'm not talking about the individual. As the individual, yes, you have your own personal hope. You know, as an individual, you should be able to find a positive aspect out of your turmoil. Especially like I said, if you're in tune with the Lord, if you're in tune with God, you will find hope. You will find a possibility.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm talking from a
That is
whole.
your hope.
Yeah, that is your hope.
Yeah.
But when I'm talking as a whole, the mass, like
Hmm.
entirety, even if
Yeah,
people say,
see,
even
that's
if
one
people
of the
say,
things.
I'm just saying, like, even if people say, I go to church, I believe in this, I believe in that, your actions,
See,
majority of people actions are hopeless.
absolutely, but see, the thing there is a difference when you get there. See, there's a lot of variances and differences, and hope is a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual thing. It has nothing to do with anything else. But see, most people get religion and spirituality confused.
Well, I think that, like I said
Spiritual has
again,
nothing to do with
it
religion.
has nothing to do with it, but see, that is the cause of, like I said, again, I feel that is the cause of what the government had displayed. The U.S.,
Right.
like I said, the United States is like I said, the people that run this country are are classifying themselves as either being Catholic or Christian. Correct me if I'm wrong,
No,
right?
you're right. You're right.
And but see, they don't push the spiritual aspect of things. They don't push the aspect of having a personal relationship with God.
But because they have already separated themselves from
Exactly.
spirituality,
So what they
they've
feed on
already
people. So it's what.
the
Yeah.
separation. But see, they say the separation of government and church. But see, that's church.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the spirituality of God,
It doesn't.
of whom of whom God is, how God functions,
Yeah.
or anything that has nothing to do
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
But the leaders behind this though are feeding. Like I said again,
Well,
wolves in sheep clothing.
like I said, like I said, and I'm going to tag on to this. And I'm going back to what Righteous Dad said. Why do you think people are like this? Let's narrow it down to right here in Philly. The leadership here in this city they feel like they have no hope. Anytime you have the mayor on live television talk about he doesn't want to do any of this anymore,
Right.
Yeah.
any of it.
Or you got you
So,
got you got umpteen people running for that position.
and then you have people. You have 20 people, and I'm exaggerating on this, but it feels like you have 20 people running for one position, which is
Right.
almost of the
Absolutely.
norm right now. It's oversaturated, fighting for one position, and you don't know who's coming from which end. But then also, with you have this type of lack of hope, what's called a lack of hope right now, and lack of
Right.
any type of resilience and sovereignty right now, that allows the demons and the snakes to come in. And then they have
Absolutely.
their own
Mm-hmm.
source of hope. And this is why you have, and I'm going to call it right now, you have all of these wicked smoke shops all over the place in certain
Yeah.
specific neighborhoods
Mm-hmm.
that are
Hmm.
lacing certain different types of drugs that all of these people has been smoking. And I'm going to call it right now, since they started doing this nonsense, this is when it started upticking in all of this nonsense, all of this craziness. The people
Hmm.
acting a certain way. It's been increased. It's been magnified. It's always been
Hmm.
there, but it seems like for some reason it's magnified. Now, why is it magnified? Let's
Mm-hmm.
go back to the shooting in the store. Like I said, yes, we blame the butcher, but I blame Like you said, we also put blame on the store ownership.
Yeah.
Most of the people in these store ownerships do not have any type of investment or involvement in said community.
Okay.
In said community, creating and selling this stuff, but also uh, their whole purpose is to create an environment for their own people,
Right.
Yeah.
for their own people who don't live in said community. So you can, first of all, like I said, these smoke shops now they're open 24 hours in a residential area. Tell me anywhere else could you get? I can try to open up a restaurant and try to hire people from the community to work there, and I guarantee you they would give me all types of red tape and hoops and ladders to get through. So
Okay.
what type of leadership from political leadership, either from congressmen and women, that's allowing this? Because guess what? You can't go into somebody else's neighborhood and set up shop without talking to somebody who's the boss down there. I cannot set up. None of us can go down to South Philly and set up shop anywhere unless we talking to the head person in charge down there. So who is
That's
there? Who are these people that are coming up here and sell and open up these smoke shops that's selling this poison to our kids and to the people of the community? They're making it all, attractive looking with the bright lights and the LED lights and stuff like that. Putting them in a
mhm.
trance. Putting them in a trance. You see it. You
Yeah.
see
Like
it. You
like
you,
like
you
like
see it.
like like
You see it.
malls, like malls to a lamp.
Like moths to a lamp. To
Oh
the
my goodness.
like moths to the lamp. And then you see it. Like I said, you see the synthetic weed that they smoking out here. Got them all different type of fancy packages and stuff like that, and they sell it cheap.
Yeah.
Who's responsible for Kensington?
Yeah. What was the name of that movie? What was the name of that movie called? Soylent Green?
Oh, so
Yeah,
Soylent Green.
Soylent Green.
Yes.
Like I said,
Soylent Green.
there's responsibility here.
And
There's
but
responsibility
that
laid
thing
for you.
was over what, a jar of strawberry preserves.
Over a jar of
Yep.
strawberry jam. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Got killed over a jar of strawberry jam.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It is happening.
The same thing
You're
is happening.
living. Yeah, the same thing is happening.
There's been
Everything is structured.
yeah, there's been a program, and it's almost like people are in a trance. It's almost like people are walking around in a trance, and very few people are actually awake enough. Not saying we're full awake, but we're awake enough to see certain things that just ain't right.
Right. But we can't. But right now we in a position we can't do much about it.
Well, we can't do anything about it because we, like
Yeah.
said, in order to make change on
Yeah.
anything like that, you would at least have to have 15% of people who think and act just like you behind you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
At least 15%. I don't think we even have that. But like you said, when you turn around and you can give people, uh, uh, you can give these people a way out. The people who do think and act, like this, and think a certain way in a different way. Like I said, they're poor too. So if you
Yeah.
give them a certain type of stipend in any form or fashion and they take it, there's a movie I recommend you guys to check out. It's from the '80s, and it has wrestler Roddy Piper in it. Bruce, and I was like, I know you to talk about it qualified. Yeah, it's called They Live. It's a sci-fi
Yes.
movie. It's a sci-fi
Yeah, I
movie. They
saw it.
they
Yes.
live. Yeah,
Yes.
and
With
that
these
was and that was
aliens.
in the
Yeah.
'80s, and that was in the
Yeah.
'80s. Not necessarily to the point to where there's aliens, but I'm saying that there is another force
Yeah.
that is controlling this.
Yes.
And like you said, the universe can give people certain people because, like I said, everybody on this earth has a purpose. Nobody's here by accident.
Mhm.
Everybody on this earth has a purpose. it's up to us to actually find it and
Yeah.
what that is. So everybody that's not going to have everybody's gift is special, but there's certain people that the universe has given a little bit more responsibility to, and these things are called special goggles. The
Hmm.
universe gives people, and you don't ask for it. You can't ask for it. You don't know why you're giving it to, but some of these people have these special goggles. And once you get the special goggles and put them on, once you find them that you're supposed to and put them on, you can't take them off. You can't, once you put them on, you can't take them off, meaning you will see things that other people might not see. You will hear things that other people might not hear.
That
And
is
then they
sad.
might they might even look at you like you crazy or something's wrong with you.
Yeah,
But it's just that you've been given said special gift to see and do certain things. Maybe at some point in time you'll be able to do something about it.
yeah,
But right now, like I said, with the city, the city is just going right now without anybody with special goggles on right now.
yeah. Well, it's going on without. Let's say it like let's call it. Yeah, let's call it like it is. They have no leadership.
There's zero leadership.
Zero
Zero.
leadership. Yeah,
Zero leadership. And they're letting the kids run they're letting the
yeah,
kids run crazy. And that's by design. Because when you disrupt the kids are that generation that grow up that's only going to eventually grow up to be adults that act the same
yeah,
way.
Mm-hmm.
mm,
So,
yeah.
like
I
I
tell
said, it all has to be in order for it to happen. In order for it to happen, in order for change and stuff to be rebuilt. And like I said, for you guys to have been involved in the infrastructure of of this country, you know, in order to do something when the foundation is disrupted, everything comes crumbling down. So the only way to do it is to what? You destroy everything, strip everything down to even to its foundation, restructure the earth or the ground that it's built on, and start all over. That's what has to happen, unfortunately.
yeah,
We're just right now.
but
It
Yeah.
seems like they're building on top of a weakened foundation,
yeah.
and it just gets higher and
Well,
higher and higher.
and yes, it's going to run that. But see, but in the end, that it goes away. But just like I'm gonna go back and say it, just like it's, there's always that certain element of hope.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There's always that certain element of hope is there. It cannot go because hope comes from God.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. And it cannot be diminished. That's why I said that things look bad, things are going to be bad, and things are going to think like this. But there's always that element of hope. That just like you were just saying that to restructure, to re that's that was always the plan in the way, to things going to change. Things got to change. It can't stay the same. Even if things are going bad, things are happening, and all these things. And they're just like some of us say, well, the world is going to hell in a handbasket. But there is still that element of hope that something or someone or something is going to make that change. And it's going to change. We're looking for a big change. And it's going to happen. Maybe not in my lifetime, but it's going to happen.
Yeah. And I don't think it's built off of one person that's going to make that change. I think it's going to
No.
be a
Yeah.
culmination. It's going
No,
to be
no, no.
it has to be. But like I
Yeah.
said, everybody's mind thinks it's going to be one person that's going to. I think it's going to be a combination of people
Oh
that
yeah.
has
Oh
to
yes,
be
it's got to be.
involved in this.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing can happen. without, but I mean, but it only takes one to get it started.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
You got to get something. Yeah, it only takes one to upset the apple. Yeah, just like it's just like that. You have a barrel of apple, and you got one rotten apple, and you drop it in that barrel of apple. It contaminates the whole entire barrel. It's exactly the same thing.
Hmm.
It only takes one, but not to say that, but that one can't do it by itself. But that one can cause a lot of people to do something.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to be one person to can start the disruption.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, when you guys gonna start
Start
Hey,
what?
making the change?
Yeah,
oh,
like
when
I
we gonna
said, hey,
start? Yeah.
Hell, what the hell? We got to go in now. Thank it. But
yeah,
no, but
That that
no,
that
but
that that that
overall,
that, that is a good question. When are we going to start making a change? I mean, I think. Well, like you said, I think it's the change is starting. It just like I said, just not. It's not. It's like I said again. It's not going to happen in our lifetime. But with each generation, I do see, even though it's not, and like I said, the majority of like bad things we see is strictly online. And the thing about social media and everything is what's being pushed forward, what's being entertaining is always the negative sense. The good sense of it never gets highlighted. And that's always been the case with any part of history when it comes down
hmm
to revolutionizing. The revolution will not be televised. And that's actually a true statement. It's not.
mm-hmm.
So I think, like I said, with each generation, I do see glimpse of positive traits, stuff that we have improved from previous generations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say it's not going to happen within our lifetime. But the fact of the matter that the fact that I do see improvement with each generation going forward, I
Uh-huh.
personally do have hope that change will come. And like I said, when that change comes, it's going to hit it's going to really take a huge effect when, especially when it comes down to U.S. society and the way how our government is
Yeah.
being run. Right now, it's being run to the ground. They're doing everything that is the polar opposite of what a government should be doing for their people. And what's going to happen is eventually, yes, it will hit to a point where people just say, you know what, we're just going to work together. Ain't nothing that y'all can tell us to do to make us separated. Right now, we have a lot to lose. And what I mean by that doesn't necessarily mean that like we technically physically have a lot to lose, but what we feel we have a lot to lose. Right now we're still comfortable in the luxuries of first world living.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree.
like I said, we haven't lost. Like I said, yes, the housing market is crap. Food is on the
Yes.
rise. Our pay is crap,
Yeah.
but we're still able to buy a phone, search through the internet, look at social media, watch movies, still go to our tap waters and our sinks and get water, and food is still accessible enough to the point where we're
Speak,
comfortable.
speaking of that,
Yeah.
people, please know exactly where your water source is coming from.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Please know where your water source. Please understand and know where your water source is coming from. And we gave a little bit of uh, history to some people, a little bit of knowledge to some people. At least I did in the wake of that spill that happened in the river. A lot of people don't know that 65, more than 58% of Philadelphia's water supply comes from the Delaware. The other remaining percentage comes from the Schuylkill. So understanding where your reservoirs are, there are 8 major reservoirs in the Philadelphia area.
Yeah.
Know where you live and know where your closest reservoir is.
Yeah.
Not going to sit there and tell you where ours is, but I'm not going to sit there and give that. But there are 8 reservoirs in the city around the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Like I said, you have City Avenue, you have Fox Street up there on 33rd Street, North Philly. You have Upper and Lower Roxborough. Am I
Yeah.
lying? You
Yeah.
got
No.
there's a couple of them. There's a couple. You got Wissahickon,
Yeah.
I
You got the
believe.
West. Yeah. You got the West Hicken.
Um, See, these things is very
Yeah.
important. Maybe I can't remember. It's been a while,
I
and
mean,
this is actually one of the remaining things I was telling somebody about this. When I was in elementary school, I had a fifth grade teacher. I can't remember his name, but this was against his curriculum. It was against the curriculum, but he always taught this at the end of every class, and this is one of the things that stuck with me. And he would always teach us understand and know where you live, not just where your house is, but understand where you live, your city and where you live. He would always drop us little nuggets and then question us and build with that. Um, like, what are the two major uh, train lines here in the city? And
Right.
you would always say, what, Broad Street line and Market Frankfurt.
hmm
Just little things, little things. Where does the train go underground and stuff like that? And understand where you are. How many reservoirs does the city have? And you would say 8 reservoirs in the city. The
yeah.
Philly's water source. What are the two rivers in the city?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That comes. Where does a lot of people don't realize this? Where does the Schuylkill and the Delaware River don't connect until when?
Yeah. Until you get to South Philly, where
Until
we're
you
near
get
near near
down
near
there.
near near
The
the
air,
airport.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's where it meet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they
And
meet.
that's where it meets. So then when people were panicking and buying all of this, what is like, hold on, wait a minute, let's see, let's take a look. If it's spilled in,
They call that meeting there Gerard Point.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, Gerard Point.
hmm
yeah. So when
Yeah.
people panic, it was like let's understand where your water source comes from. Where did the spill
Yeah.
happen?
And
And
a
all
little
that type of
history fact: the Philadelphia Art Museum used to be a reservoir.
Right.
yes, yeah. It used to be a reservoir.
Before the art museum was there, it used to be a reservoir. In fact, the pumps are still in the basement of the art museum.
And all of that used to be the water filter. That that
hmm
was that was during the Civil War and so forth.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was a reservoir.
yeah. I
Okay.
like I said, I implore a lot of people who is listening to this. If you do live in Philadelphia or surrounding Philadelphia, there is a lot more history than the Independence Hall, Liberty Bell, uh, you know, I'm drawing a blank here. Betsy Ross House, First around that area. There's a lot more history behind this city. This city has a lot of things that a lot of people don't notice. Like I said, the ship, and I always say this because that you normally laugh when I tell you this though. But the ship that's right down by IKEA, and if you live in Philadelphia, you know what ship I'm talking about. That's USS America, which still
Yeah,
holds the
yeah.
record of the fastest
For
cruise liner in the Atlantic Ocean.
But did you not know there is here? You know, I had a project there right at that ship,
Mm-hmm.
and we were doing the berth, the you know there and the ship, and I know a lot about that ship. And one of the thing of it is that no one ever knew that that ship was a CIA ship.
Yeah, it was the CIA ship. Um, right after it was decommissioned, I think it was a little after the what was it? Was it was it the Korean conflict
It was it no
or a
no
little
no no
or was it before
during the
Vietnam?
Vietnam. It was
During the
no
Vietnam, yeah,
it was during the Vietnam. See, because the ship was commissioned in 19, I think it was in 1951,
yeah,
in the late 40s,
yeah.
and and the ship was built politically
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that they needed the something because England had the QE,
They had the
the
QE. Yep.
Elizabeth II, and they had to do something that would and they had to do something because they were changing over. That was right after the war, after World War II, and uh, uh, the Germans really had them there. They had to get something that was fast to outmaneuver these submarines
Yeah.
and things. That if anything happened, that's the reason why they they created the ship.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and so
Lots of history. Lots
Yeah,
of
no,
history
it's
there.
a lot of history. It's a lot of history with that ship. Like I said, it came. Like I said, it was docked in Philly in '96. So that's why, like I said, if
yeah,
like I said, like that's why it feels like it's been there for forever. It's been there since '96. But currently, like I said, it's been switching owners. People have been trying to see if we can turn it into a casino and all that kind of stuff like that. I mean, personally, myself, yes, it is a piece of history. But I'm like this. If you're not going to utilize it for anything else, turn it into a reef. That's just me. Like the history is still a part of it. It's still there. But if you ain't gonna do anything with it, I say turn it into a reef.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
right now
yeah. It's been sitting there. It's been sitting
it's been there.
decommissioned,
It's been
stripped,
there.
stripped of everything.
No,
So
but
don't try to go in there acting like you're gonna find something in there. It's stripped of everything. It's been stripped of
yeah,
everything since the CIA got it.
Yeah.
everything into the strip. I went in it one time. While I was sitting there when I was working there, the owners of it came up and they asked me, did I want to go in? And I said, yeah, let me go. But they wouldn't let you go by so because there is no lights, there's no electricity in it, and it's very dark.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
you can't go in there without lights and things like this. And and some of the compartments down in the lower water is flooded.
yeah,
You,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah. So it definitely needs some
Yeah,
work.
it needs a lot of work. Like that's why, like I said, that's why when
yeah,
it comes to ships like that, it's best to really just turn it into a reef. And if you want to pay homage to that ship, you build a new one. You build a new one, update it, and you just you basically build yourself a replica. But the original, it will cost way more money to try to renovate it and try to like because
well,
you're going
to
yeah
make service.
to make it
Yeah,
serviceable, it's going to cost like a stupid amount of money. More like the more trust me, more than what it's worth. Trust me, because you're gonna have to take it out of the water. That costs money right there. That's money alone right there.
Yeah. But there used to be a cruise dock here in the city.
Yeah, there used to be.
And the city got rid of it. They
Yeah.
didn't want it.
Well, like I said, the city got rid of it because they found no, like I said, there's no profit in it, but it's more profit by using the Delaware River as just a cargo shipment basically
Yeah.
line. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Goes back and forth. And like I said, that's yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah,
But
like I
yeah,
said, we'll do another podcast on knowing where your water source comes from and stuff like that. But speaking of ships and stuff like that, the infrastructure of this country is really messed up. So we have, like you said, we went boats. Now let's go trains. The train system is bad.
it
The
is.
rail system, the rail system is bad. It's horrible in this country.
Yeah.
It's
So
bad. It's old. It's old and
yeah,
outdated. And like I said, I like taking the train because I like seeing uh, 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 that part of the country that a lot of people really don't take the time to see. And you do get to observe that on a train. But being on that
oh yeah,
train, being on that train, you also realize how underfunded our rail system is. And,
Hmm.
and,
hmm
and, and like I said, how much we really well, it comes down to the freight. The freight between what the two largest freight companies that pretty much owns all of the tracks here in the country is CSX and Norfolk
Right.
Southern.
Right.
Hmm.
And they control everything. Like I said, I took a train ride from here to Florida in February. There's no way. There's no way a train ride should take 30 hours
Hmm. To get, yeah, yeah.
to get from
You could
to
drive
get
there
from
faster than you
Pennsylvania.
can get on.
You could get there. You could drive to and from. You could go
And
down to Florida from Pennsylvania and back, and it'll take one time
one,
for a train.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, it's sad, isn't it? See,
Yeah.
it's sad that all the electricity stops in Washington, and
Yeah.
you
Yes, but
got
so the
states
northeast
around.
corridor. So for
Yeah,
those that don't understand, for those that don't know, the northeast there's a northeast corridor. The northeast corridor starts from Boston, or does it actually start in Maine? I don't think the train does
I
go up to
think it
Maine.
goes up to Maine. Maine.
Maine. So yeah, because the train does go up to Maine. So it goes from Maine all the way down to DC.
Yep.
Uh,
Mhm.
in DC, it has to stop because they have to change
The
their
diesel.
engine
Got to change the
to
engine to
diesel
diesel.
because there are no electric from DC all the way down to Florida, the southern tip.
Yeah.
There it does go. There is electric, I believe. Also, if it goes from DC out to the Midwest to Chicago, and then from out there it switches.
Yes.
If you go out in
It,
Chicago, they
the
have to switch
only
to
on
diesel.
yeah, yeah. I think it switches somewhere in Ohio.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Well, no,
And
it does switch
it,
in Chicago. So it does switch at Union
it's
Station in
okay.
Chicago. Yeah, okay, that's another
Okay.
major. That's a major central. That's a central location for the Midwest going out to the West Coast.
Yeah, yeah, but if you're going from the east to let's say to Chicago, you got to go south as far as Washington D.C. and then it splits off and it goes like northwest into coming across West Virginia and then goes back up to towards Ohio and then Chicago.
Yeah. So
And
if you're
see,
going
that's a
from
long. That's yeah,
yeah. So if you're going if you are going from DC to matter of fact, let me look this up right now. Let me see. Wait a minute. Train starts from DC to Chicago because I've never actually did that one. See, what I did was
yeah. I did that
I
one
also did
time
one from
myself.
that. Also did that one
Yeah.
from that to I did that one from Pittsburgh.
All
So I
right.
Yeah,
had I had to cross state to
yeah,
Pittsburgh.
I did I did that one time, and man, look, let me tell you something. When that train stopped and put me off, I didn't know where I was. It was just a little one patch town.
Oh
Yeah, it was
wow.
just right out in the middle of something. There was nobody. There was nothing but the train station. That's it. I said,
No
"Wow,
housing.
no houses." Well, no, there were houses, but they were them old. They were dilapidated.
Oh
Oh
wow.
man.
You know, I said, "Oh my gosh, now where am I?" I didn't know where I was. I tell you,
Oh
but
Yes,
see,
wow.
so
these,
so it does
I
go.
didn't
So it
realize.
starts. It goes up northwest from Washington up to. It goes through a piece of West Virginia.
A piece of West
hmm
Virginia. All
It
right.
goes to the piece of West Virginia because you're moving northwest. So think of it
yeah,
northwest to uh to that western corner of PA, right near
yeah,
Pittsburgh. Then you go through Pittsburgh,
yeah,
Uh
and then from
yeah,
Pittsburgh you cross over the river, into Ohio. Then you get to Akron. You go
yeah,
Akron, then you go north of that to Cleveland, and then that was just the route that I took. Then you shoot west over that river. You shoot west over around the river, then you get to like um, Toledo,
yeah. Toledo,
Toledo,
yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
Wow.
and then Sandusky. Now let me tell you something about Sandusky, Ohio. There is nothing.
Go ahead, Jay. Sandusky.
There
What
is
is?
nothing in Sandusky, Ohio. Matter of fact, there's really nothing in Ohio. This is not a knock on Ohio. I'm just saying there is nothing but farm and factories
Okay.
in
But
Ohio.
no, it's funny because
I
like,
can see why people don't vacation to Cleveland. Like I said, for a reason. And there's nothing I can say. I'm sorry. That's just what it is. Sandusky, Ohio. Like I said, it's nothing but farm and factory. You get to Toledo, right? And then we're riding west to Toledo. Then
uh,
you go a little bit now south, so now you're heading into Waterloo, Indiana. That's
Waterloo.
another place. Oh my God, yo, let me tell you something about Waterloo, Indiana. Waterloo, Indiana, just like how Dad said when they dropped him off and there was nothing there.
Uh,
The Waterloo, Indiana train stop. It's legit. Like it looks like one of them old post office stations. You know what I'm talking about? The old post
oh
office
wow.
stations from the 1800s. And then it's completely separate from 30th Street, from Union Station in Chicago to Penn Station in New York. You see those big, elaborate, nice architecture? No, it's like old one horse town, Waterloo, Indiana.
Wow.
And then there's like legit houses right next to the train, like with trash cans out in front of the yard for trash day the next morning. It's like legit homes, and you see people getting off at the Waterloo stop and just walking right into their homes right across the street. The train tracks. It's a sight you got to experience it because that's a part of America that a lot of people, especially if you lived in the city, don't really get to see
You
or
know.
experience. And I could see. Remember my cousin Vinny? With they couldn't sleep with the train thing. So I don't know how they can sleep because the train blows its horn. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning through those towns. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it goes back up north a little bit to Elkhart, Indiana. Yeah, say that 3 times. And then it gets down into let's see, wait a minute. Oh, so now we get into South Bend. Now
uh,
South Bend, for those that don't know, South Bend is the location of where Notre Dame University is. So that's pretty much the only thing that South Bend has to offer. Is Notre Dame University.
wow.
Seriously, can't make
Oh
this
yeah.
up. So, like I
And
said, I encourage people to do take the train, but I will say this: uh, if anything over 24 hours, I would definitely recommend a get a sleep car. Get a sleep car. I've actually tried both, and I recommend the sleep car. And then we get into the Gary, Indiana, that
yeah.
Gary, Indiana, Chicago border. And like I said, Gary, Indiana, most notably known for the birthplace of the Jacksons.
Right.
And but Gary, Indiana is a ghost town. We drove through when the train rode through Gary, Indiana. I was like, wow, this is it's like factories that used to be but are no longer there, and they've been going for a long time. The
Hmm.
only thing that was surviving was a casino, and that was barely surviving. And like that just closed down.
Yeah.
And I was like, this the infrastructure riding these trains through this countryside like this, it shows you that the infrastructure of this country, and we go back to what unqualified gamer said, the government has failed. The infrastructure of this country is flawed.
Yeah, it definitely
It, it,
is.
it's
It
very it's
is.
very I like I said, so I do encourage it at some point taking trains because like I said and then you ride up north along the Michigan, along that Michigan River line uh into Chicago. But just watching that, just going on and getting on that ride and just watching it and just looking at like how much the infrastructure is not there anymore. A lot of abandoned homes, a lot of abandoned homes, a lot of abandoned factories,
Yeah.
things like
Oh
that,
yeah.
man.
Yeah. But when you're talking about not just homes, just whole communities and
Yeah.
cities
Oh, yeah. I'm talking
and
whole
towns,
communities and
like
cities. Yeah,
gone.
and
They're
towns just
gone.
gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm talking like whole towns. They're just gone. So if you don't mind, you know, and plus I like the train rides. Like I said, if you don't mind it, it
Well,
because
it goes the same thing, just like in the town that I grew up in. When I grew up, Martinsville was a city.
hmm
Now it's a part of of the county
yeah,
because of the fact that there's nothing there. You go there and it's like a ghost town. You guys went
yeah,
with me
yeah. We were
home,
there. Yeah, yep, we were there.
Yeah,
and they said, "Well, why don't you come back?" Where am I coming back to?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
nothing there.
There's nothing there.
there's nothing there. Nobody even lived in the house that I used to live in. You remember it was empty.
Yeah,
I showed you guys that this
yeah,
is where I used to live.
Yeah, it
yeah.
was.
Is it?
It was empty.
Yes, jeez. You know, but see, but that's the way it is. And
Yeah.
that's the way our whole country is falling apart the same way.
hmm
And,
Falling
it's
apart.
crazy because like most perspective outside the country is like based upon like major cities. Like that's it. Yeah, you don't see
Yeah.
like the smaller towns or and the thing about it is like this country is huge. Like people don't realize how big this country is.
People don't realize it. Yeah,
And it's
the map,
crazy.
the map really does no
The
justice.
map does no justice, but see the crazy thing about it is this is the prime example of reason why our government has failed us is because we have a lot of real estate. We do have a lot of real estate. It should be there really
A
should
lot
be
of
no
land.
homeless people in the U.S. There really shouldn't, and it's not even from the perspective of just like first world country type of thing. It's the size of this country. It's the
There's a lot of
size of
land
this
out here.
country
Yeah.
alone. We're not even talking about the continent now. We're not even talking about North America where you have Canada and Mexico. We're just talking about the USA just as its own.
Well, you're looking at what you're saying is that you're looking at a different perspective. This country was built up on what profit.
Yeah.
You make a profit. If you do not, if you're not in the position or in the thing of making profit, then you're no good to this country. They push you out. It's exactly the same thing when you get of age and stuff. Most countries that I've been to, that they take care of the people of age. Once they retire, the government takes care of them.
hmm
Not in this country. If you are not profitable, then you're nothing. The, mo-
Yeah.
the the retired people in this country pay more tax per capita than any other thing. I know I'm paying more taxes now than I did when I was working.
And you see, because of that alone, and also, like I said, they're not giving regular people, like not even the young generation, a chance to even strive, to even make it. You know, here's the reason why it may not happen in our lifetime, but not it's not going to be too far off. I'm giving it. I'm giving about 2 generations. I'm getting about 2 generations to the point where people are going to say they're going to overthrow the government
Well,
because the direction
something's
because the
going to
direction
happen because
yeah, because they're not giving people a chance. That's what I'm saying. They're not giving people that way out. The
There's going to
trickle
be a
down,
breaking point.
yeah, the trickle down economy that Reagan has installed in the '80s is not
Yep.
working. That trickle down, you know,
Economics.
yeah,
Trickle down
economics,
economics
yeah, that
is
trickle
not
down
working.
economic is not working. The
No,
idea of it makes sense
the
if
idea makes
the
sense,
idea makes sense
but it's
if if,
greed.
if, 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 if there wasn't greed. But there is greed. Every
the,
every last profitable top person in this country is
hmm
greedy. so it doesn't work. And what's going to happen is, like I said, like you've seen a little bit right now. It just in short bursts. It just tiny specks. The reason why we're not doing the same thing what France is doing, where France they raised their
Oh yeah,
retirement age, and they're fighting
they're
like to the
fighting that.
they're fighting that. The reason why that's not going to happen here at this current time, and I'm just going to call like it is because they're racist.
Hey, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Because they're
Yeah,
racist. Plain and simple. It's not like I said. But the thing about it is, with each generation, I see more and more people that are not like really racist. They just trying to live. They realize that, man, listen, I ain't feeding. My family's not getting fed. And racism is not working out for me. I don't care if this person gets fed. I need this person to get fed so I can get fed. So I can feed my
yeah.
family.
But also, like
It's
you said,
getting
this
to
also
that point.
lies. This also lies. This also lies where you talk about how uh, there needs to be in government allows where you have these older people that was around when uh, segregation and Jim Crow and all that stuff was at its highest point are still in their seats.
Oh
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
And they are the reason why it's still at a stagnant point. There has to
Good
be
example.
change there.
Yeah. Right. Good example. The thing that just happened in Texas that they when it
Yes,
when yes,
absolutely.
exactly the same identical thing.
It
Yeah.
is.
Or the situation down in Tennessee.
Yeah, in Tennessee, same thing.
When you had the three politicians that won the election and they don't want to give them their seat.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you still have
One
the
guy,
old?
one guy, cause he said they didn't want to give him his seat that he won
Hmm.
because of the fact he had an afro and a dashiki on. Now, what kind of crap is that?
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
we still have, like you said, there's still that old racist dynamic that still
It is
won't
not
give
dead.
anything up. It's not. No, it's not dead. No, it's
No.
not dead. It has a
It's not
chance.
dead.
You see, the positive thing is those type of people, because like I said, let's be real. These type of people will get old and they will move on. You know,
Uh, well,
but
they will.
but
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 see,
but but, but what happens is
no,
it's always going to be with us because those type of people then have offspring and teach their offspring, and then so on and so forth.
Yeah, but I also been seeing cases of people who've been raised, by those type of people have
Oh
actually
yeah,
rejected
exactly.
that
Yeah,
because they're
and
just
they
like, listen,
reject it.
like it's not benefiting me. There's nothing about hating somebody that there's nothing about hating somebody that benefits me. Like there's certain people that actually realize that. Because I met people that are like that. That were raised by people like that, and they just said, listen, like, look, I used to be like that, but then I realized that it just wasn't for me because it never benefited me.
The benefit. Hence, the whole thing that culminates and rounds everything up. What did Righteous Dad say? Hope.
Hope, yeah,
hope.
hope,
There's always built on hope. You know, yeah, you
Hope.
know. Yeah, but look, the rebel flag is not dead. It still flies,
yeah.
Yes.
It still
and it,
flies, yeah.
it doesn't make a difference. But it's nothing but a flag. It's nothing but a flag, but it has symbolism behind
Yeah, there's symbolism behind
Yeah,
that.
it.
there's
And
symbolism.
what it means, and what it stood for.
Yeah.
That's what it means. If they say it doesn't mean anything, so the stars and the stripes don't mean
That's what
anything.
I said. That means that doesn't mean anything.
Yep,
Exactly. Every flag is a representation of something.
Yeah,
it is.
absolutely.
Every
It's a
flag. That's the reason why the
Mm-hmm.
flags were created. That's the reason why it was created. The flags
yeah,
in general is created. Even when you go back before way the countries, when we had different tribes and different areas, there was
yeah,
always a flag that represented something of that specific group,
Yes.
whether it be a crest or some sort of representation.
Mm-hmm.
And people have died for that way before all of this was even created.
Hmm.
So
You know.
honestly,
Pretty much.
that mindset really hasn't changed.
Hmm.
The only dynamic that changed is really just the technical aspect of things. But other than that, it really hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, it all comes down. Like I said, it's hope. There's still elements of it, and you just got to maintain it. You can't let anybody try to or anything try to swerve that from you.
Hmm.
Anybody try to swerve that from you, but man, it's interesting. Experience the infrastructure of this country, people. No matter what people say, most people that are talking never really even experienced the country.
No. I mean, look, listen. I mean, I
America,
wholeheartedly admit,
like I said, the United States is a huge
huge.
piece of land, and there's a lot of land out there.
Yeah.
I've only been, and I've been to the West Coast too, but on a train, I've actually got to see at least half of it, and there's a lot of real estate out there that's unclaimed.
Yeah. It and like I said, it's crazy because like I said, like I've only like the furthest west I've been was Kansas City, Missouri. Like that's the furthest west I've been. So it's like, listen, I'm only experienced the East Coast. That's it.
Yeah, but it's
Did
Not,
you did you not know that there are still people who are homesteading?
yeah.
That's something
yeah,
all the way back before the 1800s,
Oh
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
1800s.
Homestead, yeah. The Homestead Act.
People
yeah.
are still homesteading.
They still do it. Yeah.
They're still doing it. I was really shocked. They have one on I think it's the History Discovery Channel. I think it is the people that are homesteading, and the things that the government will pay them
Yeah,
if you go and you live on this land and you develop this land is yours.
yeah. So here's the thing. I'm gonna go back to that. I'm gonna go back to that, Dad. Hold on. I'm just gonna give the people a little history because that's what we like to do here at Absolute Zero. We're big history buffs here. So pretty much what Righteous Dad was talking about was the Homestead Act, which is
Hmm.
still in effect, and a lot of people don't know. The Homestead Act enacted during the Civil War in 1862, right? And it provided that any adult citizen or intended citizen who had never borne arms against the U.S. government could claim 160 acres of surveyed
Hmm.
government land,
Hmm.
right? And that the people who claimed it were required to live on and improve, quote unquote, their plot by cultivating that land.
Yes.
Yes, and the whole
Yes.
purpose, and remember, the whole purpose of the Homestead Act was to help develop the American West and spur economic growth, which is still
Hmm.
there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's
So
still there.
a
The act,
lot, yeah.
it's
So a
still.
lot of these,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah.
I'm
So
sorry.
a lot of these places, a lot of these little cities and towns and things like that, that has gone under. Nobody's there anymore. They are turning them over to homesteaders to try to recreate that town again.
Now, here's the thing. Now, I got a question with this one. Now, do you think because of the way society is built right now, like I said, now the homes, I'm using a business model as an example for this. I'm using Airbnb as an example, like homesteading.
Yeah.
The problem with homesteading or with the Homestead Act, which is all government, they have to stop
Right.
allowing corporations. Corporations can come in and try to mimic themselves as individuals, but they are taking up most of this
Right.
land via the Homestead Act right now.
Yes.
That's
That
the
there was.
problem.
Yeah.
These corporations are coming in and using the Homestead Act to benefit themselves, and it's for the everyday working American people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem.
Hmm.
Corporations are the problem. And I use Airbnb as an example because Airbnb was a platform that was created for everyday working people who were homeowners to earn a little bit of extra income, and it turned into this complete three-headed monster right now that corporations are tearing down homes and building new homes, and instead of selling said home, they're just using it to Airbnb it out.
Hmm.
These developers. So, and I'm gonna look more into the Homestead Act to see if it's actually still. I'm pretty sure it's been enlarged more than a few times since its infancy, but
Yeah. I
I'm pretty
saw
sure
one.
there's more things too.
Yeah. Well, it's just like that. I was talking about this bus grease monkeys or what they call themselves. But the
Hmm.
thing is, eh, he's purchased a mountaintop down in Tennessee. Now you get down. He done built a little place on there where they bring these buses into and stuff like that. Then on some of these buses, they to get there, they have to go up this big gigantic hill or mountain, to get to the top of it. You know, but
Hmm.
basically the same thing. It was a homestead. See, because they moved up when they went up there, there was nothing up there at all. Nothing but trees and bushes and snakes and whatever.
All right. So here's the thing. So I was looking to see if the Homestead Act is still in effect. So actually, the prime land across the country was homesteaded very quickly. Successful homestead claims dropped shortly after the 30s, which was around the Great Depression. So
Yeah,
obviously, the Homestead Act remained in effect until 1976, with provisions, quote unquote, of homesteading in Alaska until 1986. So there is no, and this is another thing. So there is no act right now as far as the Homestead Act, even though that there is more real estate out now, just as much as it was in 1862. They're just not telling anybody, but they're selling it to other corporations instead of making it available to
right.
the everyday people. That's pretty much
Okay.
what's
You,
happening.
Mm.
you guys keep talking. I'll be right back with
All right,
Yeah.
yeah, but that's pretty much what the homestead uh the Homestead Act was. Now, so here's another thing. Um, I believe that there is a Homestead Act of sorts here in the state of Pennsylvania. So pretty much, if you own your primary residence, you are eligible for the homestead exemption on your real estate tax. The homestead exemption reduces the taxable portion of your property's assessed value. With this exemption, the property's assessed value is reduced by $80,000. So yes, you
Hmm.
can get a homestead exemption. I'm going to look more into this. you
Hey.
know,
Yeah.
so like I said, there's lots of things, and this source was reported back in January of this year, so it's pretty recent stuff. So I'm going to be researching more on this Homestead Act here in Pennsylvania. I'm pretty sure it's nothing like how it was in 1962 because they choose and omit and rechange things. Like you said, 76. So
Yeah.
pretty
well,
much the
was
people,
see,
pretty much
but
what happened
on
was the
that.
people. Okay,
Okay.
so pretty much the people, and I was just telling Dad, I was telling Bruce, I think there's an actual Homestead Act of sorts here in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
You know,
That's what I'm getting at. and not just here in Pennsylvania, it's also in New York State.
Yeah,
It's the same thing. It's just like they have that, like I said, they have a lot of real estate, and it's happening this way down south of like a lot of these towns and places that used to be viable because of manufacturing and stuff like this that was there. There's no longer there. These people are gone, or either the families has died out and no one's there anymore. They have to occupy these places. So they're providing to say, okay, we got to get people to move back and get back into these areas. So they're giving it to them at dirt cheap, but you have to make it viable again. Because the structure, the structure of those towns and cities and all this stuff that's gone now, they don't have that stuff in the infrastructure anymore. It's not there. You got buildings that is completely fallen in, or either because of lack of use, they've never been used before, and a lot of the roads and the things like that, they are gone. And you remember one time we were talking about, you remember the St. Paul's College? You remember
yeah, yeah.
we were talking about that?
Yeah.
And like I talked to somebody who said, they said the school is falling down, but this company is still making money off of it.
Mm.
Hmm. All right. So for those that don't know, was the St. Paul's College is actually
Yeah,
permanently closed. So pretty much what it was a college that was a HBCU, a privately ran historically black college in Lawrenceville, Virginia. Uh, St. Paul's opened its doors in September of 1888, originally training students as educators, teachers, and also in agricultural and industrial work, because that was around the time of the beginning of the industrial age. So, like I said, they were part of the thing. And what happened was St. Paul's closed. Uh, what the name was changed in 1957 to St. Paul's College
right.
to reflect its liberal arts curriculum. The school's pretty much demise followed pressure from the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, which revoked St. Paul's accreditation because of lack of financial stability and other reasons.
Why can't they get money?
Exactly. And eventually the school closed its doors June of 2012. The land right now is
Wow.
owned by real estate developers from China.
Mm.
Yes.
How
Well, not
how
well,
American?
No, which I'm saying is America, the real estate is there and it's for sale, but it's not for sale for us.
Yes, not for sale for Americans.
For the everyday working
Yeah.
person, the everyday working individual or everyday family. It's available if you have a corporation.
So where is the pride?
How can
and
you
this
have how can you have it if you're not even given the same if you're not given the opportunity by your own fellow countrymen?
Mhm.
That's
How can you
arrogance.
have?
That's arrogance.
Right.
That's not pride. That's arrogance.
Yeah,
It loops itself around.
yeah,
Arrogance.
yep. And like I said, it's owned by an education investment corporation, a Chinese backed group, purchased the remaining property of the college in November of 2017.
And they said
And
the
according,
building
like, yeah,
the buildings are all falling down because of the fact, and nothing is being done there.
nothing's been done. So it's been bought. It was purchased in 2017 by this Chinese backed education investment corporation, what they call. The group
Yeah.
secured
Oh,
about
yeah.
130 acres, all 130 acres, and about 30 campus buildings in Lawrenceville. So Lawrenceville, pretty much the whole town of Lawrenceville was St. Paul's College,
Wow.
or a large portion of the town of Lawrenceville. So they pretty much bought a town. In the county seat, because it's a county court records. Again, who are the people that is responsible in the leadership of Lawrenceville, Virginia, to allow it? The
See,
arrogance.
arrogance of it. And that's not the only place that it happened
Oh
like that.
no,
I
no,
think
no!
it was,
This is not that.
yeah,
There's countless others out there. There's too many.
yeah.
And it's the sad part is there's too many stories to name. Too many stories to name.
Mhm.
Mm.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And like I said, that's pretty much like I said. And to put a wrap on this, like I said, get to know who your representatives are for the leadership of wherever township or county or state or metropolitan area, whatever. Uh, know who your leadership is or supposed to be, and hold them accountable. It's much deeper than just presidential election. You know, uh, understand all branches of government, right? Understand all your branches of government. Please understand the legislative branch, understand the executive branch, and understand the judicial branch. Like I said, the schools don't teach it, but sometimes we got to educate ourselves in understanding some of this stuff. You know, uh,
Yeah.
for those in the city in Philly, know who your mayoral candidates are. Study them. Know who they are, and when next month come around, make a solid decision based off of your research on
Yeah,
who you want the next mayor to be.
Yeah.
Understand where your water source comes from, please,
Yeah.
because and that's another thing. If they have these mayoral debates, pressure these pressure these candidates. Ask them what's your plan to do when the next time if a water thing like this happens, because that showed that the city is not prepared.
Yep.
Flint, Michigan has been dealing with this for years, and we only dealt with it for what 3 days, and you saw the chaos that happened then, and they ain't ready for it. That's another thing, anyway. But pressure these people. Ask them, what is your plan? What is your contingency if something like this happens with water again? Because it's always not a matter of if. In this society, this day and age, it's always a matter of when.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
like I said, and keep the hope.
See,
Keep smoking the hopium.
The opium.
like
The
my
hopium.
water, like my water source is through, it's community water system. But what it is from a well
All
that is
right.
at the top of the hill, you know. But it's a well, but it draws the water. And this is where our water comes from. But the thing of it is that groundwater can be contaminated now because of
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much, so many different things that's happening.
Yeah.
yeah. It can. But like I said, you got to understand all of these things, and just make educated decisions and things like that to help better yourselves and get to see the infrastructure of this country. You can fly. Flying is good too, but experience through either driving and other sources, ways of travel. But with that wrapping up, uh, we appreciate you guys listening to this episode of Absolute Zero.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we got a chance to do this because we wanted to get on this and do a recording for a while. I am your king host, the Shenanigator J. All right, and sign out, guys.
All right.
Okay.
This is
Yep.
Uncle. I'm a gamer.
This is Righteous Dad saying goodbye.
Righteous Dad. Unqualified Gamer, aka Weeaboo Ramen. Follow me on Twitter. Nah, actually, no. Follow me on TikTok because I do a lot of my stuff on TikTok. Follow me on TikTok, unqualified
Oh,
_gamer 215.
and that'll be the next topic is about this whole Twitter thing. I mean, TikTok thing too. So, but keep for that. We're going to move this over. Try to move this over to an audio at some point in time. But stay tuned. This will drop soon. With that saying, yo, hey, peace, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.